To all of you. Today's topic is the mandible. The word mandible is derived from Greek word mandeir, which means to masticate or chew. It also taken from the Latin word mandibula, means the lower jaw. It is movable. The peculiarities of the mandibles are it is U-shaped bone. The U-shaped part is bent forward at the 90-degree. It is also called as the lower facial skeleton. Mandible is the largest and strongest bone of the face. It forms the skeleton of lower jaw. Now the features and attachments of the mandibles. These are, it has a body and two rami. Now the body of the mandible. It is shaped like a horseshoe and has two surfaces and two borders. The surfaces are external surface, internal surface, and the borders are superior border and inferior border. Now the features of the surfaces are, first of all, this is the external surface. This is the external surface of the body of the mandible. First of all, this is the symphysis mentae, which represent the fusion of the mandible from both the sides. Then the mental protuberance. This is called the mental protuberance. This is the triangular area. The upper angle of the triangle marks the lower end of the mental symphysis. This is called the mental protuberance. Then mental tubercles. The lower angle of the triangular mental protuberance are marked by the prominences called the mental tubercles. Now the mental foramen. It is located below the second premolar or junction between the two premolar teeth. The mental nerve and vessels pass through it. This is called the mental foramen. Now the incisive fossa. This is called the incisive fossa. Now the internal surface of the mandible. This is the internal surface of the mandible. It has a mylohyoid line. This is the mylohyoid line. It is an oblique ridge. It extends downward and forward from behind the third molar tooth. It is meant for the attachment of the mylohyoid muscle. Now the submandibular fossa. The submandibular fossa is located just below it, and it lodges the submandibular salivary glands, facial artery, and submandibular lymph nodes. Now the sublingual fossa, which is located above the anterior part of the mylohyoid line. This is the location of the sublingual fossa. Now the genial tubercles. There are two genial tubercles, above and below. These are the genial tubercles. The upper genial tubercle provides the attachment to the genioglossus muscle, while the lower genial tubercle gives origin to the geniohyoid muscle. Now the borders. This is the superior border or upper border of the mandible. It is also called as the alveolar part of the mandible. It is hollowed out by 16 sockets for the roots of permanent teeth. The sockets are vary in size and depth. The sockets may be of single or subdivided by the septa according to the teeth which they contain. Now the lower border. This is the lower border of the mandible. It is also called as the base of the mandible. There is a depression present here. It is called the digastric fossa. Now the ramus of the mandible. There are two rami of the mandible. This is called the ramus of the mandible. It has two surfaces and four borders. The surfaces are lateral surface, medial surface, and there are four borders: superior border or upper border. This is the lower border. This is the lower border. This is the anterior border, and this one is the posterior border. So there are two surfaces: lateral surface, medial surface, and four borders: upper border, lower border, anterior border, and posterior border. Now the features of the lateral surfaces. A small posterior superior area is related to the parotid gland, and the remaining major part is provides attachment to the masseter muscle. Now the medial surface. This is the medial surface of the mandible. The mandibular foramen and canal present into it, and there is a projection is called the lingula. The inferior alveolar nerve passes from the mandibular foramen, and this lingula is meant for the attachment of the sphenomandibular ligament. Now the mylohyoid line. This is the mylohyoid line. The borders: superior border or upper border. It is thin. It forms the mandibular notch. Masseteric nerve and vessels cross the mandibular notch. This is the lower border of the mandible. It is the backward continuation of the base of the mandible. It meets with the posterior border of the ramus to form angle of the mandible. This is the angle of the mandible. Now the anterior border. This is the anterior border of the mandible. It is meant for the attachment of the temporalis muscle. The temporalis muscle is attached to the anterior border and its medial aspect. Now the posterior border. This is the posterior border of the ramus. It is the continuation above the condylar process and meets with the lower border to form an angle of the mandible. It is related to the parotid gland. Now the processes. There are two processes in the mandible. This is the coronoid process, and this one is the condylar process of the mandible. The coronoid process is triangular upward projection from the anterosuperior part of the ramus. Its anterior border is continuous with the anterior border of the ramus and its posterior border bounds with the mandibular notch. The temporalis muscle gets inserted on the medial surface, apex and the margins of the coronoid process. Now the condylar process. This one is the condylar process of the mandible. It has an upper part, it is called the head, and the lower part is called the neck. The head is side to side expanded and it articulates with the temporal bone of the skull to form the temporomandibular joint. This one is the temporomandibular joint. The neck is constricted part below the head and it provides the attachment of the capsule in its upper part. The lateral ligament of the temporomandibular joint is attached to its lateral part. There is a pterygoid fovea present here. This is meant for the attachment of the lateral pterygoid muscle. It is second bone to be ossified. Now the clinical aspect of the mandibles are: the most fractious zone of the mandible is fractured by its neck. When we will go the 8 changes in the mandible and what are the relation of the angle side. So in the children, the body of the mandible is more like a shell having sockets for both the deciduous and permanent teeth. The angle of the mandible, this is the angle of the mandible, measures about 140 degree. In adults, the alveolar and subalveolar parts of the mandible are of equal depth. That's why the angle of the mandible measures up to the 110 degree. And in old age, the loss of the teeth is a usual features. Alveolar part is absorbed. So that's why the angle of the mandible is again measures about the 140 degree. Thank you.